The Golden State Warriors have won their fourth title in 8 years. Curry is now Finals MVP. How did the Celtics bounce back after such a crushing loss to the Warriors in Game 6? What goes on next season for both teams? All of this will be covered on Cooper's Sports Podcast.
Audio.
And you are now listening to Cooper Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Cooper Brooks, streaming on YouTube and Spotify, bringing you the best day-to-day content with NBA and NFL so that way you can have the best learning experience. Man, and we are going to start off today with episode 1. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Sports podcasting is something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I've been thinking about it. Well, this is my chance. This is my opportunity. And with this, if I can get this growing and get it out to other people more and more each day, then this podcast can be something. And I think it will be if I just keep going and keep working. But yeah, I'm very pumped up and excited for episode 1. And for episode 1 is going to be a good treat. We're only a few days out from the finals, so we're going to talk about the finals. I want to get that topic out of the way first before I don't want to get into the finals and get into a week and everybody's already done talking about it and get their sayings out. So I'm going to get it out. We're going to talk about what happened and what went wrong for Boston and what went right for the Warriors. So without further ado, let's begin episode 1. So the Golden State Warriors winning their 4th title in 8 years. Wow. This dynasty, this team has brought something good to these past NBA finals. You know, they their first year, 2015, they go out and they beat LeBron and the Cavs for their first title in 40 years. 2016, we all know what happened. But 2017, they get KD, they go back to back, and then then they come back a few years later, 2022, winning in Boston. And this is what makes this title so special out of all of them, I believe. Past 2 years, you were out of the playoffs because of certain reasons. 2020, injuries, and plus bubble COVID, and they didn't bring any of the teams that they knew they were going to be eliminated. So they didn't bring everybody. 2021, heartbreaking playing games. So with 2020, so after 2019, things just derailed for them, you know. Things went downhill. KD left. Klay Thompson was going to be out due to that Achilles injury. So in 2020, all they had was Curry, pretty much. That's what I think. And the thing is that mid-season, Steph Curry had that hand injury, as y'all remember. And after that, I don't think he came back for the rest of the year. And obviously, you know, the NBA shut down because of COVID, so they didn't bring all the teams back. So that was pretty much it for the Warriors. 2021, they're trying to make the playoffs, but they get in the play-in spot. And they play the Lakers and Grizzlies, and they lose two heartbreaking. Both those games were very heartbreaking for them. So they don't get in the playoffs, so they're eliminated. And then they come back, 2022. Klay's coming back off of that Achilles injury. They go back to the playoffs with a young squad. This is a young squad. They go in, take care of business, and they win the chip in Boston, winning in 6. Now, I will point out, they did beat my Dallas Mavericks, and pretty sad, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not here to talk about that series. We're here to talk about the finals. Mavs will be another episode. So that's why I think this is an important title run. This is why I think this was the most important one for them. And Steph Curry gets a 4th ring. Curry getting this 4th ring impacts a lot on his legacy. This moves him into top 10. I believe so. I would think so for other people that this would move into other people. That this would move him into top 10. This puts him in for possibly the greatest point guard of all time. I'm going to say possibly because if I say well, people have their opinions. It impacts his legacy a lot. The Warriors have been through so much in the past couple of years. Like, this is just a truly good moment for them. They got Andrew Wiggins, a guy that was questioned a lot early in his career when he first got in the league. And now He's he just won his first chip with the Golden State Warriors after having a good playoff run too and having a great Game 5. He came in really good. He came in real good for those Warriors in that Game 5 win against Boston. This is an outstanding young man. And I think he's going to get a max deal, if not a max deal, a deal that extends him to keep going with the Warriors because this young man has been amazing. Klay Thompson coming back. I expected a lot. He did great. This final series, I was very with him because the first couple games he didn't shoot the ball. He shot the ball well, but a lot of them weren't going in. And he made 11 points his first game 1. Game 2, he scored 15. And then game 3 and game 4, he picked it up a little bit. But I feel like he wasn't himself this series. He was very great with his shooting, but I feel like he wasn't himself with this series. And, but he won a 4-chip, he won his 4 chips. So that's all I'm going to say for Klay. Draymond, oh my gosh, Draymond Green, what a series for him. What a series in general for him. Like, the Boston crowd, him getting hate, him going after each game and podcast, in which I did fill in on his podcast, and those were some pretty fun podcasts. I'm going to start listening to his show more often now. But Draymond Green was doing not so well that very first few couple of games, and then last few games he picked it up. He did very good. Game 6 he stepped up real big. 12 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists. That's a double-double right there. I think he did amazing. 8 assists. Let me correct myself. And I forgot to also mention Curry. It also impacts his legacy because he now has a Finals MVP. That's amazing. I'm happy for him as well for that. Curry's now tied with LeBron, so there goes that. We'll see how that rivalry goes. Well, not a rivalry, but we'll see how that contest goes with both of them getting rings. So, so those players that I just mentioned. And I can't forget about Mr. Jordan Poole. Man, Jordan Poole is something. He can shoot the ball well. When it comes to shooting three-pointers, that guy is deadly. He can be very deadly. When it comes to those half-court shots, I don't know what he does. He has to do something to make those shots every time at a buzzer. But no, he's very young, he's very athletic, he's very skilled, he's fast. I think he's a very fast man. And that's what makes him a very good shooter. And that's what I like about him. And yeah, that's what I think about the squad. Kevon Looney, out-rebounded a lot this series. He did grab some good boards of offensive rebounds. I wonder what's going to... That's also the next interesting part I'm wondering about. What are they going to do when it comes to Wiseman? Because Wiseman is apparently, he might be coming back next year because, he's been out for this whole past season, and his rookie season, he was out half the time. So I'm a little excited to see how that goes. If they start Looney or they're going to have a contest, see who gets the starting spot. It's probably going to be Wiseman. If Wiseman, we don't know what Wiseman is going to be like when he gets back, obviously. But anyway, shifting back to the playoffs. So the Warriors, that game 6 was just absolutely crazy. Boston gets their hot start like they always do at home in the finals. This final series, they've done that the past 3 games they've been in Boston. They get that hot start, and then you don't know if they're going to keep it or if they're going to let the Warriors come back at them. Game 3, they had that hot start. They let the Warriors get it over by 1 point in the third, and then, they took that back, obviously, in Game 3 and won the game. Game 4, they did the exact same thing, but the Warriors just came rolling back later in the half, and then they won the game with Steph Curry's outstanding shooting, which we will get to that Game 4. But Game 6, they were up 12-2. I was watching the game, and what I couldn't believe is that this is the number 1 rated team defense in the playoff, or not the playoffs, in the regular season. You have Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, Robert Williams, Jaylen Brown. Forget to mention him. Al Horford. You have all these other guys, role players. Grant Williams too. This is a squad that was how do I say this? This was a squad that was not doing so well before January 1st, as y'all know. This squad was down bad with their record. I can't remember the record. I'll have to look at it again, but they were like the 11th seed. And when they got to January, when they got to January, after that, it shifted for them. They get the number 1 seed at first, but then they drop a little. But they progress a lot, and that's what helps. Huge congrats to their first-year head coach, Eminye. Forgot how to pronounce his last name. You can correct me on that later. But I will give credit to them. They did play a good series. But back to Game 6 again. I'm getting off track here. I have to fix that. But back to Game 6. They were playing real well. They started off with hot shooting as always. And then within that first quarter, within minutes, the Warriors start rolling back with their play of the game and their play of defense and their play of shooting. And they get on a 21-0 run. How crazy is that? They go on a 21-0 run with Boston not scoring at all within that time frame. And then right after the Celtics call that timeout after that 21-0 run, the Warriors go right back at it again, and they get a more huge lead. And I was watching the game, and I was like, wow, this is the number 1 rated team defense, and they're just letting the Warriors run all over the place with them. And that's what the Warriors did. They get steals, they go on fast breaks, like they just let them run around and shoot the ball. And with Boston still being a young team, I think they'll be back in the finals, or either not the finals, if not finals, then the conference finals. But I just couldn't believe what was going on. And you could tell throughout the game. Okay, when it got to the fourth quarter and it got to clutch time, they finally stepped it up and they're like, oh shoot, they got it within 10 finally. They're like, oh shoot, we're down by 10. Let's make a run. Let's go to Game 7. Well, what happened when they try to make that run? When every time Boston would respond with a 3 to cut it within 10 or under 10, Golden State would come right back with the 3-point. It was lack of defense with Boston. Boston had lack of defense when it came to shooting, I think. Again, great defense, but I don't get it. Right as Boston would score, they would just let the Warriors would just come back with a 3 of their own, because I don't know what Boston did that game. I think they're just giving it to them. And throughout the game, you could tell every time Boston would shoot, the Warriors would just come right back. And the Warriors, now, here's from both sides. Boston came into this game wanting, hey, we got to go. We got to focus. We got to understand that if we do not win this game, it's over, and we don't know what's going to happen after that. So we got to go in here, force a Game 7, and go to Golden State and possibly win a championship. The Warriors' mindset is, hey, it's Game 6. We've been in this situation before, winning in Game 6, as they did it back in 2015 against LeBron. We've been in this type of spot before. This is something that we need to do. This is something that we need to have that mentality to work as a team, go out there, play, score, shoot the basketball, play great defense, and go out there, win the title, and go home and celebrate. That's what I think both sides were thinking. But the Celtics, I don't know what's going to happen now after this game. Okay, actually, let's get more into the Celtics a little bit now. The Celtics, Jason, okay, yeah, actually, hold on. Let's get into Tatum for a second, because I cannot believe his stat line for Game 6. Are you kidding me? 11 points in the first half, and then he gets to the second half and scores how many? Dos. Right? Uno, dos. Yeah, he scores dos. 2 points in the second half. That keeps him at 13 points. The defense of the Warriors definitely were giving it to him. I could tell they were giving it to him even back in Golden State. They were giving it to him. You know who stepped up for the for the Celtics in that game, possibly in Game 6, was Jaylen Brown. If you look at his stat line, he almost had 30 points. He had 27, I think. I don't know. I got to go back and check the box score. But Tatum, what the heck, dude? Like, and this isn't just in Game 6. This has been in the previous games of this final series that he has not performed well. Well, where he has performed well, but he's their top scorer. But it's like he wasn't doing so well, because other games he'd have like 24 points one game, and it's like the other players, like, okay, Marcus Smart, Al Horford, and them, they all played great Game 1. After that, you started to see the decline. Al Horford was scoring 2 points. Marcus Smart was only getting in short amount of points too. I think game 3 is where they all stepped it up. Tatum had 30, I think. Brown had he was in the 20s, and Smart was in the 20s, and Al Horford had 11. So they stepped it up big in game 3. But then once it got to game 4, it was like, whoa, like game 4 was something else. They had again, hot start. They gave it to the Warriors. Warriors rolled back. They took back the lead towards the end, but then the Warriors hit some pretty clutch threes by Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. And that's also the thing about Klay. Klay can give you good shots in the 3-point, and he can get you wide open ones. And they also can come in the clutch time, which I think is amazing. The way Klay just grabs the ball and just shoots in, steps back and takes it, I think is amazing. But anyway, yeah, the Celtics, as I said, there were moments in the game. There was moments in games where, like, dude, you have to step up with Tatum, because Tatum was also half the time out there just being bombarded. He shot the ball very well, and if I'm wrong, I'm gonna have to look. I keep saying this. I'm gonna have to go back and look at the box score. I'm gonna have to do a better job at this. Game 5, I think there was a lot of players there's some players that also hit some good shots that got him points. So, with that being said, with that being said, Tatum didn't show up in Game 6. Jaylen Brown stepped up huge, and the Celtics just couldn't get it done. And that's the thing. I thought the Celtics were gonna go out there and get the job done. I thought, hey, this is a Game 6. They're facing elimination. They either can go out here having the best mentality ever, go out there and play amazing in front of and also, let me finish this. And they could go out there and have an amazing crowd, and go out there and win a Game 7. Also, with that being said, speaking of the crowd, that's what I also think has an impact on these finals. The Boston crowd, the TD Garden, Chase Center, yes, I understand. Boston Tea Garden blows the roof off. They are loud. Those people will get pumped up in a Boston game. Trust me, I've seen it before. I've watched plenty of Boston Celtics games to know how the TD Garden gets. And the crowd plays a big role in that too. And when that crowd goes, that roof, I think, just rips off the Boston TD Garden. But until Game 6, when the Warriors took that away from them, they just ripped the soul out of Boston. Sorry, Boston, I had to do that to y'all. But yeah, I lost my train of thoughts. Yeah, but we'll just go back to Boston when I was talking about how they couldn't get it done and their starters. Now, Marcus Smart is a great defender. Oh, that's what I also want to talk about. That's what I also needed to bring up. Marcus Smart, dude, you got to stop flopping, man. Are you kidding me? Do you know how many? Okay, do y'all know how many times Marcus Smart probably flopped in this whole entire final series? I can't even count. There probably wasn't a lot, but there probably was at the same time. But there were just stupid flops. Like, he went back to back getting fouls because he either looked like he flopped or was just straight up stupid. Smart. The more you do that, the more they're gonna get into your. Okay, I don't know how I'm gonna say this, approach it, but Smart, you need to stop flopping, man. That just doesn't look good. The more you flop like that, the more they're not going to call that because they know it's a flop. And that's the thing, NBA, you also got to break down on those too, because when it looks like they're just going back, flapping their arms up a second later, it's a flop. But if they're being pushed or hit, then I understand why they throw their arms up because they need a call. But the NBA needs to crack down on that too. They're already cracking down. They've already cracked down when players try to force a foul in a 3. They've gotten into that, but they need to focus also on flopping too. But Smart is Marcus Smart is a great player. I look at him more defensively than the shooter. On that Celtics team, I look at Jaylen Brown more of a shooter, and I look more as Marcus Smart as a defender, not a shooter. He can shoot the ball very well, but I like Marcus Smart more as a defender. That's why he won Defensive Player of the Year, of course, obviously. But the point I'm getting at here is Smart needs to like tone it down. He needs to control himself. Like if this flopping thing's got out of hand, people are going to keep doing it, and they're just going to get foul. They're just going to get it called towards them. And it's going to work. Smart, I don't. Smart had 2 calls against him in Game 6 that went back to back on him, so that wasn't a very smart move. But yeah, no, it's not a look. It's not a good look, man. Al Horford. Let me talk about Al Horford a little bit in that Game 6. Al Horford had some pretty big and one shots on him. Al Horford went off. Al Horford had a very good game in Game 1, I think so. And then Game 2, I don't know what happened in Game 2. Game 2, that's where like everybody shut down because Al Horford only had 2 points. I think I mentioned that already. Yeah, but no. Draymond. That was Draymond. I think I mentioned it. But anyway, no. Al Horford, I feel like this was his finals. This was his moment to. If he didn't win it, I would have understood. But he didn't win it, and I know that. But I feel like this was his moment to like shine in every game, bright moment game, because this is his first finals. This man has been bouncing around the league forever. He was first at Boston. Correct me if I'm wrong. He probably, I think, went to Philly next, and then OKC. He just went everywhere, and then he finally came back to Boston. And Al Horford's a veteran player, so they look up to him, I'm sure, very well in that Boston team. And I felt like this is his time to shine, to show everybody, hey, I'm still here, I can do this. But it just didn't work out the way he wanted. He scored pretty big points, and when those points came, they really needed them. But yeah, and that's what I've been thinking. Or what am I doing? This is Al Horford. I think is a great player. I think they'll bring him back. I think he'll retire as a Boston Celtic. But yeah, that's what I wanted to get into, was how that Game 6 shaped out. Now let's get into what I think will happen now with both teams moving forward into the playoffs. And let's not forget to mention Curry went 0 for 9 on 3-point. Well, doesn't matter because they still won. But guess who stepped up? Andrew Wiggins. And that's why as I was saying earlier, that's why I think Andrew Wiggins deserves an extension. From his time playing in the Timberwolves, people were very against him a lot. But then he came to Golden State and he shined very well. All right, so now let me get into what I think is going to happen with both teams moving on. For the Warriors, this is not over for them. I think they'll go back to another finals and win another finals. I think Curry will get a 5th ring. I think Steph Curry will never stop. I think the man's in the best shape of his life right now because he's in his 30s. His 30s! 30s! And he's still going out there shooting the ball. 34, if I'm not wrong. He's going out there shooting the ball amazing. And I mean amazing. The way that and that's what, gosh, now I'm already messing up. That's what I thought was amazing. It was really amazing. Like, he just can get the ball, he can get space, and then when he's open, you better hope he doesn't hit that, or else you're in deep trouble if he goes on a hot run with 3s and 2s. But what I'm trying to say to the point here. I don't think this is it for the Warriors. They have a very young squad, like I was saying. They have Jonathan Kuminga, sorry. Jonathan Kuminga, Jordan Poole. They still have Kevon Looney, who I think is still young, who's already won 3 rings with them. They have Wiseman still, and he can get back into good shape. They have Moses Moody. They have Andrew Wiggins. And I think with that squad, the way that they played this year, and if they continue that with their 3 veteran stars and Iguodala, I don't know, I was hearing on the Draymond's podcast, I don't know if Iguodala might be coming back, or I don't know, he may or may not, I don't know. But with Curry, Clay, and Draymond, they can be the team this can still be a very good team. I don't know if they need to add another piece, but they have what they need. And they have Otto Porter, who I think, and Gary Payton, who are still young, which they'll become great players and progress. But as I'm saying, this won't be it. I think they'll go back and win another finals. Like Stephen A is already calling it. I was watching it on First Take the other day. He said specifically in his own words, "I got the Warriors going back to back." And that man, Stephen A, I love him so dearly. I love First Take and Skip and Shane, and that's how I get all of my information. A lot of my information, but by listening to them, that's what encourages me to do stuff like this, like podcasts, so that way I can go out and tell people my opinions on stuff. But anyway, for the Warriors, this isn't over. As I said, Mike Brown's leaving, going to be Kings head coach. I want to see what they do with the assistant coach, but I think at the end of the day, the Warriors will never stop being great. They've already proven that they can be. They're one of the best dynasties in this generation and league. Like the way that, But now let's get to Boston here. Boston, what I think is going to happen with Boston, they'll keep their guys. Again, Tatum is a guy who's still very young. I think he's only 24, so he still has another chance. If the Celtics play regular season basketball like they did this past season, and they shift that mentality, and if they play the way that they did in this year's playoffs, I think they can go back and make another run. Because Boston almost made the finals in the bubble year and 18 year. 18 year, that was a squad, but they were young. And LeBron solo carried that Cavs team, I think. And what else? Yeah, and Boston still has a lot left in them. They have Marcus Smart, as I keep saying. I don't know why I keep repeating the same stuff. Their defense is like, after January 1st, I think they were like ranked the best defense. Like, that's what they have. Jason Tatum, who can shoot the ball well and bring you good defense. Jaylen Brown, who can... By the way, Jaylen Brown's mid-range jumpers in this game alone in the finals were amazing. I thought the way that he just pull up and shoot and the way he drives to the basket and gets in, I like that. Marcus Smart, I think he's going to bring in that defensive mentality. Al Horford, he's getting there. I think he's getting there. What I mean by he's getting there is I think he's still got a couple, maybe a few years left on him. I don't know how long he's got left in the tank. And Robert Williams. Oh, that's the guy I also want to talk about, Robert Williams. I think they need to keep him. I started to like Robert Williams at the beginning of the season this past year because Robert Williams was second in blocks in the NBA. Robert Williams brings so much defense and so much energy to that team as the center. Like, when he goes up for block shots, it's just amazing. Like, the way he can jump and then just swat it, like, the way he has hops like that is amazing. And the way he has... Now, it's the injuries that I'm a little worried about, because I feel like every moment in this playoffs, he was always out or he was injured because of something of an injury, of his ankle or something. But I think you keep Robert Williams, you'll be fine. But the top, okay. If we're talking about what it's going to be like for both teams moving on, I think they still will progress and be better. Boston will get better. They'll get better players, and they'll build around Tatum, obviously. And they're going to keep some of their guys that they had this year. Warriors, there will not be a moment where they'll be bad and not make the playoffs and probably go to the finals and win it again. I think they will make the playoffs. Finals-wise, I don't know. Now, who I think is going to probably make the finals next year and make a run in the playoffs is a different story for a different episode. We're here to talk about the finals. And, yeah, so that's what I think happens with both teams moving forward here. Now, let's shift way back to the finals. Game 4 was an amazing game by Steph Curry. I mean, going into Game 4, people were questioning, who needs to step up? Who needs to give Steph Curry that help or who needs to be Curry's second guy to help him win this game? Well, I don't think anyone was their second guy. The closest was probably Clay with like 18 maybe, or Wiggins with 20. I don't know. Curry, as I should say. Curry absolutely just gave the Celtics everything he had. He gave them shots from each and every spot on the court. When Steph Curry gets the ball and he shoots it, and the way that he produces his shot, and he'll like just dribble around and he'll get a screen, and when he gets that screen, he gets that wide open shot, you know it's going in half the time. And that's what was an important game. He went 43 points that game. I think that was an important win. That was a very important win, because if you don't get that win, if you don't get that win, you still would have tied. You still would have gotten the series to Game 7 had they lost that game. But still, because Boston was starting to roll back again, and then the Warriors caught them with 2 huge threes, as I mentioned earlier. But yeah, that was an important game. The finals overall this year were kind of weird. They didn't feel like any other finals. Like, I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, this was just stupid finals with all these bad calls." And I admit there's a lot of bad calls, but like people are saying this doesn't have the same energy as any other finals would have. But I don't know. I think it was a good finals. I liked it. It was weird, but it was fun. And that's what I wanted to talk about, was this Game 6 and finals. Yeah, so at the end of all this, the Warriors got what they needed. They got that title, coming off two terrible past seasons where they didn't make the playoffs, or they tried to get in the play-in and they didn't make it. I will give huge props to the Warriors. They're an amazing squad. Boston, I'll give you huge props too. I don't think I got anything else to say. I think next year's going to be a good year. And my Dallas Mavericks, they got that big that they needed. Christian Wood. That'll be another podcast episode. I don't want to derail the topic here, but yeah. So I think we're gonna call it here. Episode 1. I think this went very well. I feel like and you guys can let me know. I won't mind. I think there's stuff I need to fix. Like, I feel like I repeated myself a lot. There's a lot of moments where I was, like, blacked out and, like, I didn't know what I was going to say next in my next sentence. But now I think I'm going to just close it out. But, again, y'all can just, like, tell me, like, what I need to fix, what I need to do, how do I need to, like, when I'm speaking, like, I don't need to be saying the same stuff over and over. But, yeah. So, again, thank you. So, yeah, that will be it. So, thank you for listening and watching listening to Cooper Sports Podcast, bringing you day-to-day content on the NBA and NFL for your best learning experience. Please share this podcast so others can know and hear about it. I hope everybody has a great life. Everybody be safe out there with the world we are in today. Don't let yourself down. Have a great day, or I should say have a great night. This is being recorded at midnight. Have a great night. And yeah, thank you for watching.